Trial Tuesday once again today. We're discussing the castle doctrine and your rights as a property owner. David Aylor, a man who always stands his ground and will stand up for you in the courtroom and in life, joins us right now to weigh in. Counselor, tell me about the castle doctrine, first of all. What exactly is it and how does it entail to property owners?
Well, essentially, it's a law that literally comes from Old England, and that's why it's called the Castle Doctrine. It's been in South Carolina for a number of years, and essentially what happens is when a law's in place like this basically means you don't have to flee. We're very familiar with stand your ground due to the recent case in last year in the state of Florida.
Sure.
This really is similar to that, but it's in the sense of your property and your home. So if a person intrudes on your home or your property, obviously for criminal reasons, and attacks you or comes towards you, you're able to defend yourself. And defending yourself includes all the way up to, of course, lethal.
Now, tell me about the difference between a castle doctrine and a stand your ground law. Are they similar? Are there differences? And what if you're not in your home? Does that castle doctrine apply?
Well, really, they're very much similar. One is really connected to the other. The castle doctrine, of course, is when you own your property in your home, at your residence, if you will. And what occurs in that situation is if someone comes after you, tries to attack the home, you don't have to run from them. You can defend yourself. The stand your ground law is really an extension of that, in that if you are out in public somewhere and a person attacks you, you don't have to try to run from them. You know, it doesn't have to be your only defense, or first defense, I should say, is to flee. The law doesn't expect you to do that. You can literally stand your ground and defend yourself. So they're very much connected. One is just back to the property. The other one is just out in the public. In this situation, of course, we're talking about the home, the property under the castle doctrine.
Understood. Let's talk about a case where this just came up recently right here in the Low Country up in Somerville. We've got a 76-year-old man at his home. A 26-year-old comes up, pulls out a stun gun allegedly, and tries to stun that 76-year-old man. They get into a scuffle. The 76-year-old pulls out a gun and shoots the 26-year-old 3 times. Justified?
Under the castle doctrine, and those facts, absolutely. Because again, he's on his own property. You have to look at these other circumstances. The age difference, this much younger person comes toward him with a weapon and attacks him. So, under those terms, it would hard to be to argue the other way that, he should have done something else, because it doesn't really sound like there was another option.
In criminal sense, what about a civil case? Can the family of this young man who was shot and killed by this gentleman, presumably on his property, can they then sue that 76-year-old and say, damages?
They could try to, but it would be tough to determine exactly what theory of law they would come under. Because essentially, again, you have somebody that's coming onto the property, attacking the person with a weapon, and then that person's just defending himself, much less the 50-year difference between the two individuals.
And Attorney David Aylor, we have, of course, a new law going into effect this afternoon where people can now bring their concealed carry weapons into a bar or restaurant. Do you think that this applies to the castle doctrine law? Are we going to see more of these cases because more people are going to, try and get these permits?
Well, I think in those situations, we're obviously going to be more talking about situations that could involve the stand your ground law, because you'll be out in a public setting. The castle doctrine is only going to be related to your home or your property, but you may see some more incidents where this comes up. But one thing that has to be kept in mind, it's very much proportionate to what happens. If you go to a restaurant or bar and have a disagreement with someone and a shoving match happens, or some sort of fisticuffs, it doesn't automatically mean that you can pull out your weapon and shoot and kill the person simply because of the stand your ground law. So they're going to look very seriously upon what the specific details are. And in this one property situation that we're talking about now, it appears that the details were very much in favor of the property owner and the castle doctrine.
Now, does the castle doctrine apply to just your house or your residence? Is it your yard as well? Do you have to be in a certain area of your home?
Each situation is different, but we had a case a couple years back in James Island where an individual shot at someone who was on his property and was alleged to be on sort of close to the driveway around his vehicles, and he was not charged, again, under the castle doctrine. So they're going to try to determine exactly where someone is and what was going on. There could be situations, though, where if someone was fleeing from the property or actually was off the property, it might go outside the castle doctrine. But, it's very subjective, because you never know what is in the mindset of that person. Maybe they're going back to their car or somewhere else to bring weapons to come back. So, most often I think they're going to err on the side of caution with the property owner.
All right, Attorney David Aylor, thank you so much for your time,
Thanks
sir.
for having me.
Do appreciate it as always. Much more Low Country Live after the break. Make sure you stay with us.